fighting for my child for years. Years we have not gotten the help that my child needs, and we have still yet to get help for my child. I don't have too much to say, but I do want to say this. I feel like this is a fight not only for my child, my children, it's for everybody. Everybody. I am just a parent that loves my child and wants help for my child, as well as many other people out there who want the same help for their children. This is not just my fight. This is a fight for every single child that needs help. This district is not the district that you want to be in. If your kids need extra help with academics, behavior, or language, this district will spend tens of thousands of dollars defending their programs rather than help your child read. As parents, we feel like they are incapable of helping. We were lied to about processes, faculty, and services that were available for our students. We were denied our formal request for open records. On Pearland ISD's own letterhead years ago, they documented all of my child's academic struggles, yet they denied her the testing and the help. We have still yet to get what our child needs. If you out there have a special needs child that needs extra support, if you have a child that you feel isn't doing well on curriculum, or if you are getting the push around from this district when asking for help, please get an advocate. The district will not hear you. They may act like they are listening. They will note your concerns 1,000 times over 8 hours of meetings, yet they will not hear you. You need someone that knows the federal law. The admins here will talk in circles and drag it on for years until you feel defeated and small. Please know that as a parent, you know your child more than anyone else, and you are their only true advocate. You don't need to know everything as a parent. There are people that can help you. Don't rely on the district to do their job. It has been proven that they will not. Thank you.
This is Heidi Simpson. She has an upcoming due process that will be an open due process. We will post the link. You can log in and watch the entire thing live, as was available for this previous family. And that is the end of August. 25th. It's August 25th, 26th, and 27th. And we will have a day and a half to present our case. And they will have multiple attorneys defending their product that they call special education. This is Heidi Simpson.
Hi, yes. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name's Heidi Simpson, Heidi Simpson, Simpson. Like our advocate, Miss Mayor Cunningham said, they are spending multiple hours of resources that could be spent on our children. Just to note, on my case alone, they have hired 3 attorneys. That money right there could have gone to the special education programs and could be funding our children and giving them the services that they need. As we're here today, how can we influence positive change in special education? It's easy. We focus on the core reason their services were created in the first place, and that's our children. In Texas, we are number 50 in special education services. We are number 1 in 504. Under IDEA Section 300.1, to assess and ensure the effectiveness of efforts to education, children, and disabilities. This is an educational need, not academic. As we literally, under the mercy of the professionals, we are told and persuaded every day in a meeting, email, that even though my child was evaluated for special education services, she was denied her rights. They coerced us into having 504. When we got our advocate, everything started to make sense. We were being lied to. As parents and not fully understanding the differences, we agreed, and we felt that was said to us that my daughter would be in separate classes with other kids of all grade levels. That's not true in special education. It's inclusion. It is the responsibility of the school to find and to locate our children, not us as parents. And that's what we have been fighting for. Hours, 10s, 15 hours in meetings, and we get nowhere. As Kelly mentioned, they'll note our concern. As a mother, this is heartbreaking. Not only do we feel guilty leaving our child every day to a place where you know they are unhappy, and guilty that my other child gets less of my attention, concerned about the next few years of schooling, how they're going to be, feeling exhausted trying to stay on top of the schooling. Currently, the needs of such children are not being met and being failed by the education system. Our children might have struggles, and they're going to overcome them. But for Kelly and my child being the first with this district this year, we are going to shine the light of years of breaking what they oathed to do and the denial of students' civil rights. We have started not only a Texas movement, a nationwide movement due to years of not serving our children. It has to stop, and it's going to stop. Everyone needs to focus on the child, not a disability, not their grade, not what they wear, not if they're funny, class clown. Every child is different, but we look at them, not their disability, and go toward the way they learn. And my last part is just, I'm going to give a little something from my daughter. They say that I have special needs, and while that's partly true, the needs that matter most to me are the same ones you have too. I need to be accepted. I need friends that make me smile. I need a chance to learn and grow, feeling valued all the while. Sure, I need some extra help and some things I can't do, but I hope you'll see beyond all that. Inside, I'm just like you. I'm not a label, not a word, not a derogatory term you heard. I'm a who, same as you. Do you have a name? I do. I'm a mind, a heart, I have a personality, an equal part of the overall we. I'm a her or a him, a he or a she. Who am I? I'm simply me, a person, not the disability. Thank you.
So we want to thank you again for coming out. There are countless stories, countless phone calls that I get that I could never share. There are teachers in this district that I represent, but I can't come to a meeting because they're afraid that they'll lose their job. This ridiculousness in special education and 504 in Pearland ISD has to stop. We're not going away. You're not going to get us to go away. You're not going to get us to sign something and then it's sealed and we'll never say anything again. We're here for one thing, change. You can do this. What we care about, we fund. And what we fund, we focus on. We need to fund and focus on every child in this school district. Thank you for your time.
Well, y'all take questions?
Well, of course. Thank you.
Well, I was wondering, would y'all take questions
Yep.
at the podium?
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My overall question was just, take us through the difference. Like you said, what is the difference between a 504 and?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll take you through that. Can somebody take this? Give it such a cute out. So a 504 is in the federal code. If you look in the federal code, it's under the 500s. 504 is a civil rights law, never intended for an educational need. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, is an education act. It's in the 300s, and it says two things. IDEA says a child has a disability and they're in need of special ed. And special ed simply just means you need some more help, right? A 504 was never intended for dyslexic kids. Let me say that clearly. That's why the state legislature just passed to stop the shenanigans. If you have dyslexia, you have a disability that will impact you forever, right? So we have all these kids in 504 with dyslexia, ADHD, autism. If you don't want education, you take that 504. At 504, you'll get a vanilla behavior plan, some medical needs, and some accommodations. An accommodation is just something that helps how you learn. It doesn't help what you learn. So when I'm sitting in a chair, I'm being accommodated. And so most 504 plans are what good teachers are going to do anyway. In September 2016 in the Houston Chronicle, in the article Denied, Brian Rosenthal said, special ed costs the district about $2,000 to $4,000 per child. 504 costs you $2. Anybody can have lunch on $2? Not me. So this is a money issue. This is a power and control issue, and it's disgusting and it's illegal, and we're not going to stop talking about it. Parents are told that their child won't graduate with their graduating class as a 7-year-old because she has dyslexia. You're kidding, right? You're really kidding that you said that to somebody. She's going to be separated from her graduating class. The egregiousness that happens in this district, verbally, on phone, and by email, is overwhelming. So Texas ranks 50th in special education delivery service out of 50. I'm terrible at math. That's embarrassing. Texas ranks #1 in 504. That's embarrassing. We have to do better. We have the money. Last time I checked, look at a football stadium. Look at beautiful science academies. Look at all the things that we do in education. If we wanted to focus on it, we would give some money to it. But we don't, and we just dump on teachers to do everything with their Superman cape, and they can't. They're just teachers, and we love teachers. We love public schools. But 3 of my clients this year have sold their houses and moved. It's that bad. It is that bad.
As the media, what are we missing? What should we focus on? When we talk to Pearland School District, what questions should we ask?
You should ask them who trains their teachers, boots on the ground. So it's public record. We just had a due process. Is it okay if I say it? And the person that was the main educator for this student that struggled with reading, she said in her own line of questioning by her own attorney, she nodded and she said, ultimately it is the parent's responsibility to ask for the evaluation. You know why she said that? Because nobody's trained her any different. So that's what teachers think. And if you think it's a teacher's responsibility, and then the school says these are the 18 reasons why we can't do that. We got to take 6 weeks worth of data. We have to have this meeting. We have to have a 7-hour Zoom. I don't know. We have to call Pluto. I don't know what they're doing. These kids can't read. They're not learning. We don't get time back. Nobody guards the hen house in special ed. They don't. And I love everything about Texas, and I love public schools. We sent a check for $230-something million to the federal government. Who holds school districts accountable for special ed? No one. No one holds them accountable. If I was a general ed teacher or a coach and I did something ridiculous, all those parents would be down and there would be change. But special ed, every student is different and nobody wants to get in and get their hands dirty. We're going to get our hands dirty and we're going to keep running our mouths because this will stop. It can stop today. They could fix this right now. We're so busy having little conversations and secret meetings, and I don't know, let's hire one more attorney for me. How about we just educate these kids instead of graduating them? How about educating them instead of graduating it? How about stop focusing on that ridiculous state testing and see what she likes to do? It's not our job. It's not her job as a child to tell me how she learns. It's our job to find out how she learns. I don't know if that answered your question. Who's in charge of special ed in Texas? I don't know. I can't tell. No school district gets in trouble for anything. If there's a problem at a school district in special ed, then they have to write a plan and submit it to the state. I have no idea how that moves the ball down the field. Sure, absolutely. So Texas has a great handbook called the dispute resolution dispute resolution process. If you disagree with a school district during a special ed meeting, you have options. That first option is a state written complaint. I can write a written complaint to the state. It needs to be pretty legal, and then they'll hand it to their school district attorney, and they'll tell me why I'm wrong. The second thing is mediation, which is a great component, gives both parties leeway, it's voluntary. However, if you settle in mediation, you have to sign that you're never, while you're on the planet, ever going to talk about this, right? Third thing is due process, and due process has many steps, and it's an administrative hearing so that a lawyer, a judge, can hear your legal concerns. It is the parent's job to prove without a shadow of a doubt what happened and how egregious it was. And if you had the opportunity to watch the open due process, I think it spoke for itself. Nobody knew what child fine was. Nobody could really answer a question. We talked about the teachers' resumes. We're not talking about resumes. We're talking about kids that can't read. Kids that can't read. We're so busy defending our reading program and this and the STAR test. Oh, I could care less about the STAR test. She can't read. She doesn't want to go to school. Kids that have academic deficits that we don't address are dropouts by junior high. That's what they do. They drop out. So if my child had a wheelchair, I wouldn't be standing here begging for a ramp. 46 years ago, IDEA was enacted. It's a federal law because we can't follow the rules. That's why we have laws, because people can't follow the rules, and nobody requires them to. So in due process, it's about 45 days long. We finished our due process with this family last week. We will have a decision from the hearing officer at the end of September. But again, whatever that decision is, whatever the hearing officer says that the school has to do, we have to again trust them because they haven't done anything that they said they would do prior. Yeah. Sure.
We've always assumed that educators are all about the children and educating. How disappointing is it to see, I guess mostly from the administration, that the education part for these kids is taking the back seat to money.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I actually don't believe it's the teacher's fault. I love teachers. My kid is the teacher's pet. She loves all the people that teach her. You know, it's not the teachers. I believe it comes from the administration downhill. Everything rolls downhill. you know? So unfortunately, I just don't believe they know everything they need to know to help these kids in these certain special situations.
I will say that, again, just like Kelly said, I think with any type of organization, it comes from the top down. And if the bottom line, the front line leaders, the front line people who are actually taking care of the customer, which is our children, if they don't get those resources or get that information, that training from their admins, it's not going to do anything. My daughter I had requested her in 1st grade. She's now going to 4th grade. She has not moved. She has actually regressed. She's still reading at a kindergarten level, writing at a kindergarten level, and how heartbreaking it is to see, and then for her to know as well, and not wanting to go to school. It's egregious. Again, it's not the teachers. It goes from the top down, and I really. There needs to be more leadway and more push on the district's admins. And like Miss Cunningham said, who's even watching them in the state? I know in the medical field, if something happens, they're on it. What happens in education, in special education especially? Nothing. It's pushed under the rug. We don't want to say about it. We don't want to say anything. Let's settle in mediation, but you can't speak about it. That's what they want, and then they want to have a party after. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to give up. It's not just our children that we're fighting for. We're fighting for every other child in special education. It's time that it's not silenced anymore.
And we agree. We love teachers. God bless teachers. We love them. They all should have their salaries doubled. Teachers are out right now spending their own money to populate their own classes. And so what happens is when these kids are young, the teacher is running around helping everybody. But if you don't hire a second person in 3rd grade, then the 4th grade teacher gets him and says, it's okay, you're doing good, keep going. And at some point, we've taught children that adults are liars. That's what we've taught them, because I don't advocate for adults. I advocate for children. I meet with all these children, and I tell them, Miss Karen's going to go in there and say what you need. And then I have to come back. 15 months we've been doing this. 12 months we've been doing this. This didn't happen. And they were doing it years before I got involved. I've told these kids that change is coming. And now you know what the kids say? Mommy, don't say anything at school. Mommy, don't say anything. Mommy, don't say anything. Is reading important? I think it is. We have the money. I've been to every district in Texas. We've got the money. If it's important to us, the Learning Disabilities Association of America said over 25% of kids have a specific learning disability. But if we don't identify them, then they just grow up and don't know how to read, and they're embarrassed, and they're unsuccessful, and they can't read a job application, and they're not successful in life. It's in the dyslexia handbook. Step up, do your job, say you were wrong, and you're gonna fix it. That's all we're asking for. We don't want to go to hearings. This is mortifying for these families. Most families just tap out, and they pay thousands of dollars for private tutors. So their little kids have to go to school all day, and then they gotta go to Kumon for 2 hours, because we can't do our job at Pearland ISD. But we're gonna do it. As long as I'm breathing, we're gonna keep talking about this. This is gonna get fixed in Texas. It is.
Do you think the state governments are doing enough to cause a change in local school districts?
Absolutely, 100%, that would be a no. Mike Morath is the head of the Texas Education Agency. We just wrote a check for $230 million for the federal government. I guess that's a slap on the hand. Then why can't their kids read? Where is the change? That was 5 years ago that I sat in Region 4 in front of federal officers who wanted our input. So that's how we fix something? You write somebody a check? No, we fix it by delivering the product to a child. Nobody gets in trouble in special ed. I've done this for a couple of decades. Nobody gets in trouble because we're 50th in special education delivery services out of 50.
Classic case of follow the money.
It's a classic case of, I don't know about the money. I think there's plenty of money. I think that we could probably sell homecoming mums and raise some money. I don't think this is about money. I think this is about power and control. Because there are districts that join this district that are amazing, that would lay down their lives for kids. They would think outside the box. They would call us to see what they could do different. This is an internal problem, and this is people who are ill-equipped to deliver a product that they were hired for to educate kids with disabilities. That's the problem in Pearland.
There are people that do get in trouble, and it's the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
My son is going into the 9th grade.
You can step up, sir.
My son's been going.
Here, step up so they can hear you.
There are people that are getting in trouble, and it's the kids themselves. My son is going into 9th grade. They moved him ahead, even though he didn't meet all of his criteria, because they didn't want to deal with him. And since the 6th grade, he's been arrested and taken to jail every single year because they don't know how to handle kids with behavioral issues. They aren't trained on how to identify when certain behaviors are going to happen. They don't know how to deal with it. Their answer is simply to call the SRO officer and have them write up a report or drag them out of the classroom. And next thing you know, Brazoria County is coming down to pick them up because they get the reports from the school districts. It's something we've been dealing with since our son was 2 years old. That's when he was diagnosed with a host of different diagnoses. And the school, we moved to Pearland from Danbury ISD because Danbury didn't have the money. It's a very poor school district. We moved here because we thought Pearland could help us 9 years ago, and we have had very little help. And it's not the teachers' fault because they try.
They do.
But they don't have the resources. They don't know what to do. And thankfully they have helped us, but our son hasn't got the help he needed. And we're still trying to get it, and he's up going in the 9th grade.
Do we have your name, sir?
Jim McPeak, M-C-P-E-A-K. I grew up in Pearland, and I graduated from Pearland ISD, and I'm embarrassed about what's happened to the school district, to be honest with you.
I'm just going to say this, too, to kind of piggyback on what he's saying. I am, as Ms. Cunningham said, one of the parents that we are uprooting our whole lives to move to a better district. We are in that process right now. My children are having to move away from their friends. We moved to this district 7.5 years ago and are now moving back to one of the ones that we were in our area that actually serve children with special education services. I am appalled. It makes me sick to my stomach every day when I have to hear my kids say, am I still going to get to see my friends? Am I still going to get to go play with them? And, even though it's 10 minutes down the road, I don't know what to say to them. But I know that they're going to get educated and they're going to have a full educational outcome, not just a grade, not just they're sweet. It will be a full education and they will have the appropriate education.
I feel like the administrators, that's just kind of what they would love if everybody just moved out and didn't have this problem.
I mean,
Speak for you.
For me, I mean, that's what I'm having to do for my family. I feel that this has been a hard road for my children that they don't need to go through. No child should have to go through this, nor a parent. But I'm not going to let my children down, and I will do anything in my power if I have to empty my savings to get them to the right district for education. We're going to do it, and we're doing it.
What is your major concern now that we're just...
We can't hear you.
What is your biggest concern now that we're just days away from the year, this pandemic and this?
It's our biggest concern. Our biggest concern remains the same. I have lots of teachers that are clients, and when they have representation, they're treated worse than parents that don't work in the district. My biggest concern is the same. If we don't support the boots on the ground, the person that delivers the product, the teacher and the special ed teachers, then we're just all sitting around talking about how amazing we are. You didn't hire enough teachers. You didn't hire enough support teachers. You didn't train them, and you know you didn't. That was confirmed at the due process. In the due process, we had teachers that have been in this district 22 years, 20 years. They didn't know they were supposed to collect data on goals. They didn't know they were supposed to collect data on goals. They didn't know they were supposed to implement their accommodations. Then what are we doing? So my concern is that parents do one of two things. They either are afraid to argue, either culturally, it's not their personality. 88% of parents with a child with a disability get divorced. It's a lot to walk through. So we ask the school district, and we're told in some beautiful formulated letter that we have to do step 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, couple emails, and parents are like, whoa, that's enough of that. And those parents go and pay and empty their savings accounts to get their kids to go to school more. Or we have parents that don't know their rights at all, and the few parents that do say something that are very articulate long before, no, 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 she is so cute. Oh my gosh, he is adorable. He'll get it. It'll just happen. So when I played golf, I had a coach. It didn't just happen. We had to practice, right? So just like any other application, you have to train, drill, practice, 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 and see if there's generalization, maintenance, and fluency. These kids have no acquisition of reading. We do 60-second reading evaluations. You should know that. When you're getting your reading level from your school, it was for 60 seconds. Why don't you take your cell phone and videotape your kid reading for 3 minutes? Why don't you see what their words per minute are? It's outstanding what the gap is. And we show the schools over and over and over and over every single gap. And you know what they say? They have good grades. And they didn't go to the principal's office. So because we have kids with invisible disabilities, these families are patted on the head. And these kiddos become dropouts. So my concern is the bullying has to stop. And it is bullying. It is bullying. When you drag out meetings for 14 hours, that's bullying. When a parent has concerns and you say 27 times over 3 meetings, we'll note your concerns and nothing happens, that's bullying. And it's manipulation at its highest. That has to stop. So if we're going to be in special education leadership, then be a leader and know the federal code. Nobody at that due process hearing that was a witness was able to articulate the federal code. The foundation of the federal code, child find. It's the job of the district to go out and look for kids with disabilities. Have you ever seen anybody in your neighborhood knocking on doors seeing if there's a problem with reading? Because if you don't look for them, you're not going to find them. And so my fear is we make it the pandemic, and we make it budget, and we make it Hurricane Harvey, and we make it this, and it's hard for 4th graders, and he's a boy, and girls don't like to write. Instead of saying, wow, there's a problem, we need to address it. Every child can learn. Every child can learn if we give them the right tools. We have the tools. Look at this big, beautiful building. We're full of tools, but you gotta let go of them, you gotta resource teachers, and you gotta celebrate kids. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry, I got my preach on.
Oh.
Thanks, you guys, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all
Yes,
for
very much.
having this. Sorry about the circumstances y'all going through.
No problem.
Thank you for doing